I'm not a professor. I'm a recently retired Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. I'm your host Marcos. Now if you're watching this video for the first time, please remember to subscribe, remember to like, comment and share my videos, especially those who are watching this video for the first time. Now in today's video, it's all about the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa. She has come out fearlessly and exposed how the West have been doing. So now I want you to watch this video and I will be back with more views.
And so I'm going to speak in that guise. I wish to begin by saying that I am a revert to Islam. And the Islam I have been taught is one which is fighting fit. As Muslims, we do not submit to oppression. We fight it. This is how I have been taught. So I want to begin by saying that I think it's vital when we discuss global politics that we do not appropriate a sanitized view of the West. If you look at a lot of the world's problems, there's a common denominator related to the chaotic and complex problems that we experience today. And that common denominator is Europe and the United States of America. Now, it may very well be that we do need to examine ourselves because there are fault lines in ourselves, in our countries, in our leaders, in our organizations. But as we examine ourselves, let us also look at the undercurrent of the role of intelligence organizations, of those two factors in much of our problematique. It is in Southern Africa where we had the CIA supporting the emergence of UNITA in Angola to fight the liberation movements so that we in South Africa should not defeat apartheid. It was in Mozambique that again, intelligence organizations from outside Africa came into Mozambique, created, financed, armed Renamo, not to fight the Mozambican freedom fighters, but to fight us, because for them, South Africa was a white island of privilege that they wanted to preserve, and they would do everything to ensure that they preserve that. So you are dealing with a very, very complex, evil enemy. And we in the world, if we are to understand how we engage with humanity, we must not sanitize the level of harm, the level of intention to cause you not to succeed. It's absolutely necessary that we understand that. Now, let me come to this interesting phrase that has been used very loosely in the past decade and much more in the past 5 years. And this is this expression of international rules-based order. We always ask the question, whose rules? Who's the referee? Because we understand that in global relations, the international rules are framed in terms of international law and international humanitarian law. There isn't a rules base like a referee match of soccer or rugby. So we need to be very careful. And this notion of rules-based has been developed for someone to be able to say, you are not following the rules when they disrespect international law. So we also, when we discuss global politics, should be wary of appropriating concepts that seek to reify the dominance of particular countries and make us believe that it is those countries that are the ones that would preserve order, and the rest of us are merely there to follow. These are very problematic notions that we should not accept. So I agree with the colleagues that part of what we wish to achieve is to seek consensus, is to seek inclusion, is to seek a level of cooperation where all of us matter in this world. I would like, as my contribution today, to speak about the global South. Now, I know that we use the concept loosely because despite the notion that you are juxtaposing the South with the North, we don't have a coherent South, nor is there necessarily a coherent North. You can see, for example, the response of some of the Balkan states in Europe with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war. So there isn't a homogeneity of response. And similarly, when I refer to the global South, I do know that it is a concept that is not accepted by everyone, nor is it meant to create the notion that we are a homogeneous, coherent political force as countries of the South. But I do think it's a useful concept and one that we should use. So let me begin by coming back to Professor Fouaz's earlier comments this morning when he spoke about the current geopolitical environment being at an inflection point. And I absolutely agree with him on this. It's an inflection point that might lead to an emergent global set of relations that could be less hostile than those shaped by the powerful assertion of unipolarity that has been so dominant for over 70 years. Despite having a multilateral premier institution of the United Nations, essentially, unipolarity has been extremely dominant for several decades. And what we are all seeking an answer to is how do we create successfully a multipolar world? We believe that geopolitical contestation has been somewhat laid bare by at least 3 significant events in the past 2 decades. Firstly, the devastating economic crisis of 2007, which affected all our economies and confirmed the strong macro-financial limits of globalization. Second, the impact of COVID-19, which we often neglect to mention, and yet it had such an effect. And alongside that global impact of COVID-19, we recall the manner in which the developed, richer countries of the world failed to initially promote global pandemic response cooperation. I recall when we were responding to COVID-19 as South Africa and the African continent, we couldn't get anybody to sell vaccines to us because they said themselves first and then others later. So we failed with global pandemic response cooperation, and countries that are richer than us, that had developed the science, were quite comfortable to see many of us in the South die and would not provide us with the support we needed to combat this pandemic. Then I think thirdly, we have the devastation of the Russia-Ukraine war and its confirmation of the inadequacy of the United Nations, and particularly of the United Nations Security Council. Linked to this war is the onslaught of Israel against the people of Palestine, and the failure of the global community to decisively intervene and stop this harm to Palestinians. A failure despite the existence of international law and international humanitarian law. Despite these frameworks that are designed and adopted by us, the nations of the world, to protect the innocent from harm, as the globe, we failed to assist Palestinians. So it is this confluence of events over a decade that has led to the problems we are speaking of today as we address global politics. So let me come to my country, South Africa. South Africa is a country that emerged from the devastation of apartheid, racism. And it emerged with the belief that it is the duty of leaders to seek peace for their people, for those that they lead. Out of the pain and ashes of apartheid, we have sought as South Africa to create a constitutional democracy that seeks to unite a once divided, diverse nation, and to create what we aim for, which is a democratic, non-racial, non-sexist country in which human rights belong to all and human dignity is the cornerstone of our constitutional foundation. South Africa strongly believes in our common humanity and in the obligation of all persons to engage in struggle against injustice and to unite in international solidarity to fight oppression. Our leaders went all over the world asking you, your leaders, civil organizations, Islamic organizations, Christian organizations, saying there's this evil called apartheid that we are fighting. Could you join us in solidarity in an international anti-apartheid movement? And in country after country, the people, not the leaders, the people said, we will join. Whatever way we can help, we will help. Even Yasser Arafat, under conditions of oppression, said as the Palestinian Liberation Organization, they will assist us in whatever way they can. This is why today, in international solidarity, we stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Palestine. Because in our hour of need, they stood with us. And this is our understanding of international solidarity. And we believe we need this international solidarity as humanity in any instance where harm is brought to those who are oppressed. We really appeal to the world that just as they supported us when we were fighting for freedom, so must this global solidarity today, matched with positive values and ideals, be brought to bear urgently in order to assist the people of Palestine. The West European region and the United States of America are a powerful combination that the world has to engage with. However, the question we must answer for countries of the South is what should be the nature of our relationship and engagement with the West. There are several key points. Firstly, we believe that the South must collaborate consistently on addressing critical development priorities to end poverty, inequality, and joblessness. His Royal Highness, the Sultan, made reference to these issues this morning. Secondly, we believe countries of the South should not take a back seat on global challenges. They should be advancing openly for freedom from corruption and freedom from terrorism and all other ills, on behalf of the Palestinian people and the people of Sahrawi who are also oppressed. Third, the South is the largest bloc in the United Nations, and yet it is the least powerful. The South countries should actively ensure reform of the United Nations system to make the UN Security Council more democratic and more effective. How can it be that only 15 countries believe they can assume responsibility for our peace and security, and 5 of that 15 can veto anything that doesn't address their interests? This is undemocratic, it's inefficient, and it has to be brought to an end, and it is us, the South, who must lead on that. Fourth, the South, particularly the countries of Africa, which hold the bulk of the mineral resources used for industrial and manufacturing processes, must move away from being resource rich and economically poor and learn to use their mineral resources to develop their economies. And it is if we cooperate as the South that we can ensure the industrialization of Africa and the development of a strong beneficiation and manufacturing base utilizing the rich wealth of mineral resources of Africa. In conclusion, I believe that this global moment offers the South an opportunity to lead in shaping a more consensus-driven, inclusive, development-oriented world in which the South has genuine influence. It can't be that we are consistently driven to vote for the richer countries, and we never put ourselves in a preeminent position of power. The time has come for us to utilize our numbers to good effect, and we also have to begin as the population of the various countries of the South. We need to begin to ask ourselves, what's wrong with the kind of leaders we put in office? And it is time, if they do not address what needs to be done, that we change the leaders and ensure that we put into office leaders who can shape for the South a post-2024 world. I thank you very much for your attention. Assalamu alaikum.
That was a very, 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 very educative speech from Naled Pandor. She has come out and exposed some of the things that the West are really, really doing to us. And this always makes me happy when I see our leaders come out and try to talk about these things courageously without fearing anything. Because we are going through a lot, and it's high time we as blacks, as Africans, we stand up and do something about everything. Now, you have seen what she had said, that we depend so much on these people, so much that we cannot do anything without them. You have heard she has talked about the issue, the pandemic, how the pandemic affected them. That the West could not even provide them with the medicine. It's like they want them to perish. Now that is very, very bad, and these are the lessons that we should be taking in each and every day as Africans, that we should be dependent of ourselves. I remember I did a video, and in that video you saw that since Trump took office, a lot has changed. He has stopped the AIDS that come to South Africa, to Africa. I remember he even stopped the HIV and malaria drugs coming to Africa. He even quitted the partnership with the USAID. I don't know what that is, but since he joined office, he has managed to stop a lot of things, a lot of AIDS, and the whole Africa was in panic because we depend so much on these people, so much. And this is something I've been preaching day in, day out, that it's high time we depend on ourselves. The only way we can really make it. You saw in my previous video I did, the president of US tried to control the PM of Jamaica, and thanks to him, he came out fiercely and stopped that. And he said that he will take care of his country, he will guard the borders himself. So he was like, no, this guy cannot control how I run my country. And this is so good. That's why you have seen that the leaders like Ibrahim Traore has been a very good leader. A leader who is fearless, who is courageous, who has done a lot for his people. Ibrahim Traore has been on social media like every time, and I know all of you knows him because he has been fighting the West. He has been exposing the West, and he has been trying to talk to our leaders that it's time we try and manage ourselves. Look at how these people have been using our resources. We have resources, but they are not even benefiting us. They're just benefiting them. So we are just here producing everything, but we don't even benefit from that. And with them, when they need us, they know how to get to us. But when we need them, they control us. They know how to stop. They know how to start. They know how to control us. And this is something that we have been saying each and every day, that it must stop. Our leaders should come together and find solutions to how we're gonna stop depending so much on these people, because clearly it is really affecting us. Look at how the world has panicked since Trump joined office. And the only reason is because we have been depending on them so much that we cannot do things on our own. Be it medication, we have to travel. Be it food, we have to export. Like, be it funds, we have to take from them. Like, we depend so much on the West. And guys, we need to really change this thing. Now, thank you for watching. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, please remember, subscribe, comment, and share my videos. Now, until my next video, one love.